Welcome to the Roundtable Talk podcast. I'm Ruben Castellone.
And Chris Holland.
Broadcasting from the studios of 105.7 FM. A special thanks to our inaugural sponsor, Rayford Guns, your go-to spot for all your Second Amendment needs. Their location is at the Skull Road and 5609 Fable Road inside the Yellow gas station in Hope County. Open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and at gun shows on the weekend. Visit them on Facebook or X or give them a call at 910-709-3950. Rayford Guns. Check them out. We also appreciate support from the Hope County edition of the North State Journal, covering everything from local to international news, including sports. Reach them at 919-663-3232 or visit hope.northstatejournal.com. And, of course, a big thanks to Christian 105.7 FM. Experience what faith-filled music sounds like on your radio, stream on your phone, or online at Christian1057.com.
All right. So, as y'all notice, there's two of us today. We just put it out there that Hal has moved on to different adventures and ventures, and we just wish him luck in that. And we're going to have a different format as we're moving forward with the Roundtable Talk podcast. But so, getting towards the end of summer?
Yeah. You know what? Before we go to the meat and potatoes of what's today's show is, I just want to put something out. Something was brought to my attention, Chris, and just clarify so everybody knows that what we are. Okay, number one, we are not a GOP podcast. We are, however, a conservative podcast. And the other thing, this is not Chris Holland or Ruben Castellone's podcast. This is our podcast,
the Roundtable Talk
and
joint venture.
That's right. And we're gonna moving forward. We're gonna also extend invitations to other people, not just conservative. Anybody that wants to talk to us, we're gonna welcome them. So just want to make sure everybody knows that this is not a GOP podcast. This is a conservative podcast. It's all about the American way.
And we welcome different views. And that's the idea, what we're trying to put out here is different voices, different perspectives, local issues that affect the community, statewide issues, and even up to the federal, like Ukraine. A lot of people don't talk about Ukraine, just for an example. That really affects us. We're spending billions of dollars, sending weapons and everything else over there, money that could go towards social programs or go towards, raises for the military or something like that. Just as an example, everything in the world, comes back and affects us in some sort of way, and we just want to talk about it. So that's what we're here for. You want to go ahead and talk about the veto overrides. So if everybody's not aware, the governor vetoed 19 bills that were passed in the last legislative session, or in the current legislative session. Last week, they veto override 14 of them.
Good.
And there's 5 left. And so we just want to talk about the 5 that are left, and we encourage you to get a hold of your state senator, Senator Danny Britt, your representatives,
Garland Pierce,
Representative Garland Pierce, and let them know what you think about these, and tell them that you support these bills and that you want their vote to override the vetoes for this. So the first one I want to talk about, and everybody is talking about it, is the Senate Bill 50, which is titled Freedom to Carry North Carolina. First and foremost, this bill is not law yet. The Senate, the North Carolina Senate, has overridden the veto. On August 26th, it will be brought back before the House, the North Carolina House, and they will have the opportunity to override the veto. But until that happens, it is not law. So Rob from Rayford Guns was telling me that he's had several people come in and say, "Oh, look at this! This now we can just carry without a permit or whatever." That's not the case. It's not law yet, but that kind of gave away what it's all about. It's an act to protect a person's right to carry a concealed handgun without a permit and to continue allowing persons to acquire a concealed handgun permit for the purpose of reciprocity or for that word, or for any other reason desired, and to increase the amount paid for line of duty deaths, and to establish a scholarship for children of permanently disabled or slain North Carolina law enforcement officers and certain emergency medical and law enforcement personnel, and to create the offense of discharging a firearm by a felon during the commission or attempted commission of a felony, and to create the offense of possessing a firearm by a felon during the commission or attempted commission of a felony. So I didn't realize that wasn't a crime, a chargeable crime. A felon using a firearm isn't an additional charge until this law becomes passed or
Becomes law.
Becomes law. So, like I said, there's a lot of discussion about this bill. There's a lot of heated passions about it. There's people that talk about they have to have training. We need to have background checks for all these people that want to concealed carry. I'll tell you this. For 100 years, North Carolina has open carry for anybody 18 and above. So, it's a simple philosophy, but if you put your shirt over your pistol, how are you more dangerous? How are you more unqualified? How are you more? Why do you need a license?
Well, of course, people that know me know that I worked in the sheriff's office. I think I total 15 years in several agencies, and there's money to be made in every law that a state, not just North Carolina, there's money to be made in every law that is implemented that affects and forces the citizen to take action if they want a privilege. For example, currently right now, in order for you to have a carry concealed weapon, obviously you can't be a convicted felon. And another big one is also domestic violence.
Right.
It might even be a case where you won't even just arrested for domestic violence. Just that could be a discriminating factor to do that. And so it's about money. I have a lot of, we talked about this in a great detail. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this, but I feel when you go to Walmart, we talked about this. When you go to Walmart and I see an individual carrying a gun in their hip, and the first thing I notice is that, man, anybody can take that gun away from you because you're not carrying the proper pistol carry. A container, whatever you want to call it, okay?
Holster.
The holster. And so you can get it off of them, and then to me that is more dangerous than an individual carrying a weapon with the proper holster where it won't be easily taken away from the individual. Because in most cases, I have no knowledge of an individual normally carrying a pistol on their waist, exposed, and they're at Walmart, and out of nowhere, 30 minutes later, they start shooting people. It doesn't work that way. The people that go in to shoot places up, they go in there already shooting.
Concealed or yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's about money. Just like the other rule that they put about not being able to fish in certain locations.
Right.
It's about money. So I think the best thing to do is we need to wait until it really passes into law, and then we can get everything. And I do believe that if you're going to carry a weapon, and I don't think the state, this is my opinion, because the Second Amendment doesn't say that. You should not infringe on my Second Amendment right to carry. Well, to me, that means that it's my responsibility as an individual to know how to operate my piece of equipment. Now, if you don't know how to operate it and you go to Walmart and the pistol drops because you're not carrying the proper holster, then you should be charged with accordingly.
Yeah, exactly.
But it should not be up
Negligence.
it should not be up to the state to determine if you have training or not. It's like saying before you can have children, you got to have training to be a parent. No.
Oh, shoot. That brought back a memory real quick. My wife had to stay in the hospital a couple months after the birth of our son, and I actually had to demonstrate changing a diaper and feeding a bottle to my son before I could bring him home. So, yeah.
I had to show, I'm glad you said that.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, when my children were born, they were born inside in Fort Bragg at Walmart. And I remember I had to show on both occasions, I had to show on how to properly strap my child
Into the car seat.
into the car seat. They will not let me take my daughter out. I said, "What do you mean I can't?" And you got to show us. You know, and I can see that making an exception because the child is really the responsibility because it's in the hospital.
Right. Well, yeah.
You know?
As they drive away, right.
But I ultimately, I think it's an individual's responsibility. If you're going to carry a weapon, the person should be liable for supposedly an accident.
Negligence or whatever.
And negligence.
So that brings me to a question because I saw this discussion on Next Door. And there was a person who professes to be a concealed carry instructor. And somebody had made the comment, well, I would like to have somebody there with a weapon if somebody goes psycho to be able to take care of the threat. And then this person, supposed concealed carry instructor, says, well, I support that too, and I'll even put money on his canteen or something when he goes to jail. So my question, do you know of any law that if somebody is killing somebody else and you intervene, that you could go to jail for that? I mean, that would have to be some kind of strange circumstances.
I can say in North Carolina, I don't see that happening. In Illinois, and New
Chicago
York,
or something like that.
New York and California, I can see you being charged. But in North Carolina, I know this because when I was in the sheriff's office, we had situations where I remember people using self-defense to protect other individuals. And you know, the biggest thing in a situation like that is that witnesses are always good to have in that situation.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully it's more than just you and the bad guy.
Yeah, but
right?
I don't think normally you would be.
Okay. Like I said, I'm sitting here thinking through it, and I can't think of any circumstance where you defend the life of somebody else that you would go to jail for that.
You have the right, especially after the Castle Doctrine was implemented in North Carolina, is basically you have the right. Obviously, it used to be not too long ago in my time as a police officer, it used to be that if an intruder broke into your house, you didn't have the right to defend, stand your ground.
Right.
And your only option was to flee your own home. And they changed the law, the Castle Doctrine, to where you don't have to flee anymore.
You don't have to retreat.
And we actually responded to a situation like that where an intruder broke in and the individual, a soldier, had just came back. He actually shot the individual on the way out inside the house, and nothing happened to him.
Yeah. I remember the old joke. You know, I'm from Florida, and it's always been that way as long as I can remember. It was always just make sure they're still in the house. If they're crawling through the window and you shoot them, go ahead and pull them on inside. So
well, look at
look
at Texas just end this this thing here. But look at Texas. Texas, you got a neighbor can defend your property.
Right. Yep. All right. So let's talk about Senate Bill 153, which is the North Carolina Border Protection Act. It's an act to protect the borders of the state by, 1, requiring cooperation with federal immigration officials, 2, ensuring state funds are being used for the benefits of persons in the state legally, and number 3, creating additional incentives for local governments to comply with state laws related to immigration, and 4, prohibiting UNC constituent institutions from becoming sanctuary universities. So basically, you know, I know that places like Charlotte or Mecklenburg County, Wake County, you know, they passed these so-called sanctuary laws where, you know, we're not going to honor ICE detainers, we're not going to notify ICE of illegal immigrants and stuff like that. And also, I don't know, I ran out of time to research this, whether illegal immigrants are eligible for in-state tuition at the UNC system. I don't know.
Well, you know what? You got to remember, it wasn't too long ago in the previous administration, the Harris-Biden administration, where illegals were given entitlement for Medicaid, free college. That was the one that was like, good Lord, free college for illegals, and so that type of stuff is weeding out. But one of the things that I find very interesting is that it also all depends on who the governor is. Why these so-called ordinance, because they're ordinance, they're not
Right.
laws.
They're not state laws.
Counties can't pass laws. They're ordinance. Cities can't pass laws. They're ordinance. The state is the one that passes law, and they were never enforced by the state because of Democrat governors. Okay, but no county, no state has the right to make law. Only the state
makes the laws,
can make the laws, you know.
And then it's up to the counties to enforce those laws.
To enforce it, and you know that they can be actually be removed for derelict their duties, but it has to be at the state level,
Right.
you know.
That is initiated at the state level.
Yeah.
Like you said, if there's a government in control or
The governor.
Democrat administration, then the likelihood of that is very slim. All right, we need to move along quickly, but Senate Bill 558, which is eliminating DIA in public higher education. Now, there's two of these that are very similar. And so you have Senate Bill 558 and Senate Bill 227, which is eliminating DEI in public education. And so what I was looking at this, and basically 558 talks about the college system, the university system. 227 goes down into the local public education system. So basically, the instruction, there'll be no funding for instructions of DEI. There was a mandate that all people will be treated equally, and that basically you can't make somebody feel less than because of the past of their race.
That's right.
And that's some of the DEI push was. America was founded as a slave nation. White people are the oppressors and always have been, and black people can't ever rise above that because of the institutional racism and stuff like that. This prohibits all of that type of instruction. All right. And then also there's another one, the House Bill 171, which is about the same thing, but this is prohibiting DEI in the state government. So all these DEI
hirees.
Not hirees necessarily, but the coordinators, the instructors, and stuff like that are going to be going away. And then you got House Bill 96, expedited removal of unauthorized persons. So I was thinking, okay, well, we're talking about ICE detainers and stuff like this. This actually has to do with squatters. So I know you guys have seen it on the news, in some of these states where it takes actually a state.
An act of Congress.
A state act to get these people out when they just move into your house, for whatever reason. Well, here, this is an act to create an alternative remedy for the expedited removal of unauthorized persons from private property by law enforcement and to modify the law related to pet shops. I don't know how that got tacked on at the end, but that's the full title of the bill. Basically, what happens is, right now in the state of North Carolina, if somebody fails to pay rent, tears up your place, moves into your place unauthorized, there's a pretty lengthy process. And it's to give tenants, legitimate tenants, rights that you can't just turn off the electricity, lock the door, throw their stuff in the street, and kick them out. But what this does is when it's a legitimate squatter, somebody who is illegal or unauthorized to be there.
A trespasser.
Basically, it's a trespasser. Well, in the past, the law enforcement will come and go, it's a civil matter, you take it to the judge, right? And then, like I said, that's a lengthy process. This expedites that process, that if there's not a magistrate available, i.e. on the weekends, the sheriff can serve notice within 24 hours, that this homeowner has filed a complaint and says that you need to be evicted, here it is. And then as soon as the court's open, within 48 hours, then they have to hear the case, and the judge will adjudicate whether the person has to actually be evicted or not. So it's just a streamlined process, kind of, like I said, goes from months on end where a person's in your house and not paying rent or whatever, and then to now within a week, you can go from a notification to getting them out of your house.
And there is a difference between a squatter and a person that hasn't paid the rent.
There is.
Yeah,
there is.
we talk a squatter is a person that just took possession of your property without even going into a contract.
Right. And so some of the like I said, the expediting of this is within 4 hours of the judge making the determination that, yeah, you're a squatter, you have to leave, you have to be out of the property. The squatter has to be left out of the property. Anything after that,
The law will get
homeowner,
involved.
well, no, the homeowner has the right to put your stuff on the street, on the property line. And, so just be aware if you're trying to squat in somebody's house in North Carolina, if this gets passed, and why wouldn't it? I mean, it's just kind of like common sense.
Well, because Democrats support stuff like that. That's why.
Yeah, I wouldn't say all Democrats. I'd say some very liberal.
The governor would.
You think? Yeah, well,
I think he would.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
He supports illegals.
Maybe he vetoed it because of the pet
I
pet
doubt-
store thing.
I doubt it.
Yeah. So basically, let's run over the pet store real quick. This says enacts a general statute prohibiting a local government or other political subdivision of the state from acting, maintaining, or enforcing any ordinance, resolution, or other enactment that prohibits or restricts the sale of animals by a licensed pet store, or imposes additional licensing, operation, or regulatory requirements on pet shops beyond those established by state law. So I don't know how this came about, what the issue they're trying to get at.
Well, based on what you just read, I can only think that probably the counties or the cities were imposing additional restrictions before you can become a pet store and sell animals. That's
That's what it has to be.
It has to be.
Or maybe some kind of other fees or something they were charging. Well, I guess pet store owners have a big lobby because they got tacked onto this bill.
Well, I guess it's good. I mean, I never knew. Of course, I've never been in the business of owning a pet store, but I can imagine. I can see now why this is probably. Hopefully, it'll take effect. But I can just see now the cities or the counties imposing additional restrictions. Which when you impose additional restrictions, it comes with money. For you to be able to have license, because in North Carolina, for you to have a legitimate business, you have to have some, especially if you're going to sell food, you have to have a license, you have to have a building, and so on and so on. And of course, just like what are those places called? The ones where they take care of dogs.
The groomers?
No, you can house
dog
dog. No, not the dog
kennels.
Kennels for animals where you can drop them off.
Oh, the boarding.
The boarding, okay.
Yeah, okay.
I guarantee you they have to have a license, a permit, and I guarantee you that the most likely subsection of the health department probably checks the condition to make sure that these animals are not being abused. And
animal control or health department.
Somebody.
There's some kind of inspection.
And that's probably what they're talking about. Probably putting too many restrictions, unnecessary restrictions, to sell animals at the pet store.
Right. Huh. Yeah, like I said, I didn't have a chance to research the history, but I was just kind of curious. One, how it got onto the, what bill were we talking about?
Well, maybe you're right.
The freedom to carry bill.
We didn't know that these pet people have a strong lobbyist.
Right. Obviously, the small business owners. All right. So, you got anything?
No, the only thing I want to reemphasize is that, it was brought to my attention that I just want to make sure that everybody knows. Yes, there's no secret, people that know us. We're both Republicans. I don't hide that from anybody. I am conservative. I know that Chris is conservative, but this is not a GOP podcast. This is why it's called the Roundtable Talk Podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, that kind of catchy phrase, Hope Republican Party Podcast. Let's think about that.
We're not changing it.
We're not. No, everybody is welcome. Like I said, and that's the best part of the discussion is to have alternate viewpoints. You want people to have discussion. We're not talking about throwing rocks. We're not talking about breaking windows and burning cars, but we're talking about having legitimate discussions to find common goals that solve solutions or solve issues.
We just want to make sure our audience knows that there's going to be a few changes. Obviously, everything for the better. We're going to come up with a few ideas, but we welcome anybody. You can PM us, let us know if you want to talk. Anybody that wants to come over here and address an issue, In the previous, we addressed issues where the county was wanting to rezone something, anything of importance that affects your neighborhood, a topic that you might want us to research and bring it to everybody's attention. That's what we're here for. This is a local podcast. As a matter of fact, it happens to be the #1 local podcast.
There you go.
Since the last time I checked.
We looked at the metrics. So something that people might not be aware of is the state is not operating under a full budget right now. Just like the Congress does when they can't come to a full budget, they do a continuing resolution. Well, in the state of North Carolina, they do what they call a mini budget. So basically, right now, spending is frozen at last year's levels, but they did make an exception for the DMV. The DMV has now got the budget and authorized in their budget to hire 40 new people across the state. August 25th, down at the center there on Bragg Boulevard, it's where the DMV office is at. Utah Village.
Utah Village.
Yeah, Utah Village. They're going to have a hiring fair for the positions that are local here in the area. So I think it starts at 8 o'clock. But go to the North Carolina DOT or DMV website. There's a list of the career fairs. But 40 more people across the state. We'll probably get 3 or 4 here in our area. I started looking at the qualifications. It's not really that difficult, and I think that they start out about $25 an hour. So
they get paid very good money.
Not bad wages, plus insurance, regular.
Of course, it's a state job.
Yep, regular government benefits.
It's a state job, and of course, there's a lot of restructuring going on. We know that during COVID, a lot of things changed, so it really devastated the state as it relates to people being able to get their driver's license, and that was just upsetting to a lot of people, including myself, But get involved. One of the things I do want to say is get involved in your local community. I'm not going to say we're the voice of Hope County. However, we can put it out. And a lot of people listen to us. If you have especially a topic that you want to address, again, let us know. And moving forward, there's going to be a lot of good things going on.
Talking about driving, didn't the high school just revamp?
I'm glad you said. Okay, first I got to put my disclaimer. I'm Ruben Castleton. I'm a Hope County Board of Education board member. I don't speak for anybody, let alone the board, but I do have a voice, and I don't give up my voice. One of the wonderful things previously in one of the previous boards is that we approved the new driving contract, and I got great news for parents because I experienced that with my children, especially with my daughter. It's not going to be first come first anymore. How it's going to work is the oldest child in the high school will take precedence over, say, for instance, a 14 or 15-year-old. There are other stipulations, such as, you got to be in good standing as a student. It's pretty much the same rules as when you want to play sports. You can't have a 1.5 GPA and play sports, as an example. But, yeah, that's wonderful. That's great news. That's something that the administration, kudos to the Superintendent Dr. Spell, he was able, his administration was able to make it happen with the direction of the thing, and we're going to have more classes to
follow through or throughput.
Yeah.
All right, so I just want to make an announcement. Tonight's the 21st. We're the Hope County Republican Party is holding their monthly meeting at 7 p.m. at PK's. Hey, we are Republicans, like I said.
And there's nothing wrong with putting that out.
Putting out any information. If you have an event that you want to advertise, let us know.
And you want us to advertise it, let us know.
So I think we're going to wrap up here. Good episode 139.
139, that's right. Episode 139. And again, we want to be able to recognize our inaugural sponsor, which is Rayford Guns. You could check them out at the corner of Skull Road and 5609 Fayetteville Road. They're inside the gas station. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and also at gun shows on the weekend. You can visit them on Facebook or X or call them at 910-709-3950, Rayford Guns. Go ahead and check them out. And also, we appreciate the support of the Hoke County edition of the North State Journal. They cover, obviously, local, state, and sports. You can reach them out also at 910-663-3232 or hoke.northstatejournal. And I tell you what, I encourage you to subscribe as I do. They give you a lot of information, again, including local news. And, of course, a big thanks to our Christian 105.7 FM studios. Experience what faith-filled music sounds like on your radio, stream on your phone, or online, Christian1057.com. I'm Ruben Castellone.
And just one more thing. If you're passionate about these bills, get a hold of your state representative and your state senator and let them know your feelings and tell them to override these vetoes. I'm Chris Holland.
And have a good day.